If you open up the advanced editor in Power Query, you will be able to view and edit the M code associated with your transformation steps. Occasionally in the code, you will see the each keyword and an underscore. This syntax is called syntactic sugar. Its purpose is to make it easier for you to read and write simple functions in the M language. In this tutorial video, we'll work through an example to get a better understanding of this syntax, and then we'll discuss some of its limitations. Here is an example of a table in Power Query with a list of customers in a fictitious company. You'll notice the customers are located in various countries across the world. Let's say for our data transformation, we would like to select customers that are only based in Denmark. How would we write this using the M language? There is a function in M called SelectRows. This particular function takes two parameter inputs. Importantly, the second input is a function. So let's now write this out. Let's create a new table variable and call it Denmark. Let's bring in the function Table.SelectRows. We'll need to define a table input. So that's the output from the last step. Now, as we said, the second parameter is itself a function. So let's write that out. We'll write this out without the syntactic sugar. In other words, we'll use the long form of expression. We'll then gradually reduce this to a shorthand. Syntactic sugar is just a shorthand for a longer form of expression. So this function will take a single input, and we'll call the input row. The output of this function will be to apply the condition that the country is equal to Denmark for each row of the table input. Let's change the output as well following the in statement. And now let's apply this to see what happens. It's worked. We've been able to successfully select only customers in Denmark. Now, we don't need to name the input variable here as row. We could actually give it any name we want. It's meaningful to call it row as the function will iterate across every row of the table input parameter. But we can change this. Let's call it X for now and apply the transformation again. It still works. Since it doesn't matter whether we call this X or row or anything else, the M language will allow us to replace this with an underscore. And in this case, we can interpret the underscore as a variable that references the row context or the current row. Let's apply this and see what happens. It still works. We can now go a step further. We can replace the first part of this function with the each keyword. Remember, we said that each keyword is syntactic sugar. So we're only making this replacement to make the code more readable. If we apply this transformation again, we'll see everything still works. We can go one more step further and remove the underscore here. The query still works. In this slide, we can see how our code has evolved from a long form, then gradually to a shorter form that includes the each keyword and the underscore variable, and then finally to its shortest form with just the each keyword. There are a couple of limitations in using the each keyword and underscore variable as a form of syntactic sugar. The first is that the removal of the underscore at this step is only possible if the underscore variable has fields or columns. In other words, if the variable is a table or a record. If, however, we're trying to transform a list, then we need to keep the underscore, otherwise M will return an error. Second, this syntactic sugar is only really designed for unary functions. These are functions that take a single input. Many M library functions take functions as parameters, which are often unary functions. If you would like more examples of using this syntax, including one where we are transforming a list, then you may wish to download and work through a Power BI file we've created to specifically accompany this video tutorial. This file can be purchased from our store. Details are in the description. Contact us if you would like further support in the M language, and stay connected to our channel for further guidance and updates.